Welcome to this week's edition of Monday Messages. Well, I'm back from my trip with my son, and I knew I would have some good Monday messages by returning from this trip because it was an amazing trip with my 14-year-old son. Uh, Let me give you some background here. My son, he when he was younger, he was a roller coaster fanatic. I mean, he loves roller coasters. I think you've heard me talk about that before if you follow me. He loves them. It's his life, it's his dream, it's his passion, it's what he wants to do. He wants to build roller coasters, be an Imagineer, all that stuff when he grows up. So we've always kind of, at least I have, because I come from the world of tourism and theme parks, I've always kind of fed that passion. And we've gone to all kinds of theme parks together and rode roller coasters from the age of 2. I had him on roller coasters and he's raising his hands. When he got to be 9 years old, tragedy struck and a critical injury put him in the hospital for for a few months, and we had to do long-term treatment after that. Let's just say this: he was on everybody's prayer list all over the place, and including mine. And it was a scary time. And one of the first thoughts that happened, because it was a critical brain injury, and one of the first things that happened when this whole thing happened, and me and my husband both looked at each other, was like, oh my God, will he ever be able to ride roller coasters again? And that, of course, in the scheme of things, that was, on the back burner because at that point, we just wanted to get him through another day of life and make sure he was okay. And eventually it evened out. He got better. He got okay. But eventually the realization kicked in for him as well. It's like, oh my God, am I never going to be able to ride a roller coaster again? And that's his absolute passion and love. And the thought of that was just heartbreaking for all of us because we knew how much it meant to him. And I would walk in and he'd be crying himself to sleep at night, from the gut cry, because he really wanted, that's what he loved to do. And he never thought he'd be able to ride a roller coaster again. Fast forward a few years later, we start talking to he's getting better, and we start talking to the doctors, and they kind of give the okay for certain roller coasters that he could ride, with certain parameters, like his neck couldn't jostle around too much. He had to, it got added on as well that there could be no extreme drops or extreme G's, and it had to be fairly smooth roller coaster. So those were all the things we kind of had to watch out for if you were to ride a roller coaster. Well, I found a few roller coasters that matched those parameters, and we would always kind of ride them first just to see, make sure, and then let him ride. And so we were slowly able to get him back on roller coasters. He can't ride them all, but the ones he really wanted to ride, he could ride. And that was a beautiful thing for us. So with this last trip, I decided after COVID, because of everything he'd been through, I was going to go ahead and we were going to go on a big roller coaster adventure, not knowing that he wouldn't be able to ride a lot of the roller coasters, but he'd be able to ride enough that he would be happy. And that would make me happy because I get to be there with him and do that. And we were, although we couldn't ride what we could ride, we were grateful we could ride what we could ride. If that makes any sense. So, this big theme park adventure. My son taught me so many lessons as I'm in there with him on this trip, and I just want to share some of them with you because I think as I love that I get to learn from my son today. that that he gets to call me out and he gets to teach me through his challenges and things that he goes through. So first, number one, we were there's this ride at Disney called Rise of the Resistance, and that's the one Liam really wanted to go on, this Rise of the Resistance new ride that Disney had, and we'd watched all the POVs and we said, okay, yeah, this one would be okay to ride on. Now here's the catch: you have to be able to get on the ride in the first place. The ride is so popular, you have to get on at 7 o'clock in the morning and try and get on this virtual queue. It's like calling in, like 10th caller, you're going to win $1,000. Was like that. But like hundreds of people at the same time are trying to get in this virtual queue to go on this ride. And if you're lucky, you get it. And we didn't know whether we were going to get lucky or not. Luckily, we got lucky. And as I'm like going through it, I like see, I'm like refresh. I don't know what I'm doing. My son had like watched all these YouTube videos, and all of a sudden I was like, oh wait, I got it. And I was like, I screamed. I was like, Liam, I got it. And he screamed, and we jumped up and down. We were so excited. And I was like, yeah, we did it. I got us in. And I wanted to just tell the world, because that's how I am. I get excited about something, and my pride takes over. Like, yeah, I just think I need to spread the word that we're going to be on Rise of the Resistance today. So while we were like standing in line at the Disney park, we're standing in line to go on Slinky, and there's these like girls in front of us, and I'm like, yeah, I hope we get out in enough time. We got tickets. We managed to get on the Rise of the Resistance today. And the girls are like, oh, okay. They turned around, and Liam looked at me. He's like, Mom, really? Really, Mom? You don't need to tell everybody that we got on. It's okay. I'm like, oh, you mean like humility? Like the thing I preach about all the time to my sponsees, having a little humility? Oh, I guess I can't brag about the fact that we're going to be on Rise of the Resistance today, and they're not. And he's like, no. And I was like, okay. And I was like, lesson learned. Of course, a reminder from my 14-year-old son, who is just full of humility, and it amazes me every day. So I was like, okay, lesson in humility. But we had a great time on Rise of the Resistance. Oh my God, that was so fun. So then lesson number 2 happened when one of the roller coasters he really wanted to ride was the Velocicoaster at Universal Studios. And I would be on the rides riding them just to kind of see how they were. Now I'm not the roller coaster fanatic. My son is. I'm terrified of them. However, for my son, I will do anything, including riding a scary roller coaster. So I rode a few roller coasters, and when I would get in, instead of being scared, I'd be thinking about, okay, what do I checklist for whether this would meet the parameters for Liam to ride. And there was one that we rode in Busch Gardens. When I got off, I was like, as I was riding it, I was finding that I wasn't even scared, because I was focusing on focusing on helping Liam. So that took away the fear, which is such a great lesson. When I'm in service to other people, if I'm in fear, it takes the fear off of me and gets me into helping this other person. So I don't have to worry about what's going to happen to me. I'm taken care of, So he was able to go on this one roller coaster at Tampa Busch Gardens, Cheetah Hunt, that he really wanted to go on because it met the parameters for me. I was like, oh, yeah, he should be fine. Not to say that when he was on it, I wasn't saying, a rosary, sitting up there in, drinking my sippy cup, saying, 5 million rosaries. But he was fine. He was okay, and he had a great time, and he was super excited. And so I was excited. I was happy. And then the next day, eventually we made it to the Velocicoaster. That was the big day. And this Velocicoaster looked terrifying to me. And I would never, ever go on it in a million years on my own. However, I love my son. So I had to go on it to make sure he was going to be okay if he went on it. He really wanted to go on it. He's like, yeah, I hope I can do this. I think I can probably do this, Mom. It looks like it'll be okay for me. I'm like, okay, yeah, let me just check it out, and we'll go from there. And so we get there. We get up early in the morning, first in line, get on the, I'm standing in line to get in line. Liam's kind of waiting there, holding the stuff, with my assessment of what's going to happen. And as I got on the roller coaster, I'm talking to a lady next to me, and she's first of all telling me how her head, she's like, yeah, I've been on this a million times already, gets to my head a little bit. Yeah, but I'm okay. And I'm immediately, red flag number 1. I'm like, I don't know. I like that. And I was like, okay, well, let's just see. And so then it's like all of a sudden, I didn't have time to think. I think I cursed about 3 or 4 times. Well, I was on this little Velocicoaster, and there's a reason they call it a Velocicoaster because the velocity was just like, I was like, it was terrifying. And the G force, I immediately saw on this the G force. My neck didn't move around, which was good. Ironically, it didn't move around because it couldn't, because I was plastered against the seat, and it was actually a very smooth roller coaster because it's brand new. These new roller coasters they're making are very smooth. However, the velocity, the G force on it was just unbelievable. It never let up. It was constant, and I'm like, and I got off the roller coaster, and I was like, I'm gonna have to break the news to my son. This dream roller coaster that he wants to ride, and he's been hoping to ride the whole trip, the whole year. He's been following it on. I'm gonna have to be the bearer of bad news that it's probably not a good idea for him to ride it. And so I got off, and he's sitting there, and I had to look at him and say, yeah, I'm sorry. It's too much. This one's too much right now. Right now, it's too much. I don't know what the future holds, but right now it's too much. And it was breaking my heart to tell him because you want your kid to be happy. You want to be able to do things. And it's like you wish that he didn't have this underlying medical condition so he could ride all these amazing roller coasters that he loves to ride. But he could not. So, he looked at me and he was disappointed. I could tell. And he says, that's okay. That's okay, Mom. I've come to not expect these things, and I've learned to kind of accept this as where I am and what I can do. And I don't want to dwell on it. I just we'll go on and do something. And then I ended up actually getting us on to Hagrid's, which is his, oh my God, Hagrid's meets our parameters. And it was like, we were able to get on the virtual queue while I was standing in line and things. So we went straight to Hagrid's, rode Hagrid's, and we had a good time, and we were grateful for it. So it's, a lesson in acceptance, and, listening to my son who has kind of come to the place of acceptance that, hey, this is the cards this is the deck I'm dealt. This is how I'm going to play the deck today. Doesn't mean, and I said, there's the yet. We didn't think you'd ever be able to ride roller coasters again, and here you are. We're going to go on Hagrid's, and we actually managed to make it on Hagrid's twice, which, due to again my superior skills in virtual line management, I'm going to make a YouTube video on that. Watch how it goes viral. How I beat my 14-year-old son in the virtual queue. He tells me not to do it though. But anyway, acceptance, and then gratitude for being able to ride what we could ride, and that we had the day, this time, this incredible trip together, even though, we would have loved to have ridden all the roller coasters they had. We got to ride a few, and that was good enough because it was more than we thought we would ever be able to ride. So, the message my 14-year-old taught me this one, humility. That's a big one for me. But really, I'm here by the grace of God and my sobriety, and anything that I have is due to God, not me. And the good things that God gives me, I don't need to brag about. I just need to enjoy it, and that's what I did with my son. Acceptance that, if I had my way, Liam would be on all those roller coasters again, doing what he loves to do. But it's just not where we are today, and that's okay. And gratitude that we get to do more than we ever dreamed we would get to do. And the same thing with my sobriety, more than I ever dreamed I would get to do. I've been in this life that's amazing, and I have to, practice humility as much as I can every day. Pride's going to creep in. It always does. I'm a pride-based person. It's just part of being an alcoholic. in recovery. It's, part of the makeup. We are very pride-based people, but learning how to kind of quell that and getting reminded by somebody like my 14-year-old son. So, where are you at today? Are you having trouble accepting something that's not the way you would like it, that you wish was different, that you don't want to be this way? Well, you know what? It's right. It's exactly how it's supposed to be today in God's great scheme of things. And you don't have to understand why. You don't even have to know what the purpose is, just accepting that, okay, this is where I am. This is what's going on, and I can't do anything about it, so I'm going to accept it and move on and go enjoy the things that I can enjoy today. So go out and enjoy, you know, be grateful for this amazing life that you've been given, one day at a time. Even if it seems like it's not what you wanted, there's something in there that you can find to be grateful for, and grab onto that little nugget that you can find to be grateful for, and ride it, because once you grab onto that little nugget, it grows and grows and grows until it expands and your heart is filled with gratitude. So I wish that for you today. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for our Monday messages, and I hope this helps you out today, because it definitely helped me. All right, and if you're liking this, subscribe. Just subscribe. It's something about hitting a bell or two. I don't know, you gotta hit a bell of some sort. But go ahead and subscribe, and let's keep in touch. I'll see you next week for another Monday message. Bye.